Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. I've been having fun revisiting some of Queen & Company's kits. Since there is currently snow on the ground here in Western Washington, I figured it was time to pull out the all bundled up kit. The paper pad is one of my favorites, and all the wintry images and sentiments are so sweet. I will include a link to my video from last year where I made 31 cards using this kit. I have 3 new cards to share today. So let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. I'm using a sketch from Mojo Monday. This is number 528. One of the reasons I selected this sketch is because I knew it would work perfectly for one of the vertical images in the kit. I love combining multiple pattern papers on a card. I just make sure to choose some busy patterns along with some tone-on-tone designs. It also helps to add some matted cardstock layers to sort of break up that busyness. So for this card, I have that striped diagonal paper for the background, and then I have some tone-on-tone papers for that smaller rectangular piece. I'm adding some twine around the top of the card. I just wrapped it around the card 3 times, and I just used some red line tape to secure the ends. Go ahead and put my card front onto a card base, and then I'll tie a bow in the upper left-hand corner. Just snip off the extra. And now I'm going to work on the shaker image. I'll be assembling this darling little polar bear. I cut this bear out using some of the gray chevron tone-on-tone pattern paper, and I used the outline die for this first piece. That way I have a nice solid background behind the shaker. Go ahead and adhere my foam. Queen & Company makes it so simple to assemble shaker cards, since their foam and acetate are all pre-cut and they line up perfectly with the dies included in the kit. For the sentiment, I've already gone ahead and stamped this. It's "Stay nice and snug with a polar bear hug." Isn't that sweet? And I just stamped it on a little stitched banner die, popped it up using some foam dimensional tape. And now I'll go ahead and fill this bear with an assortment of shaker toppings. I have some gray snowflakes, some teal pops, and then also some white or clear diamonds. Add a nice sparkle. Seal all of that in place with the pre-cut acetate. And then I'm using Queen & Company's sheer glue, just putting a thin layer along that outside edge. And then I can attach my frame. And then the kit also has little eyes and a nose. And little warning, the eyes are super tiny, so don't lose them. And they're really hard to pick up, so I am using a jewel picker tool. Makes it much easier to grab those tiny little pieces. Then I also have this scarf, and I love that all of the dies have a little faux stitch detail to them. So I'm using some red line tape to adhere the scarf. And I didn't realize until I'm actually doing the voiceover, there's also 2 little paws, so you could put paws on the front of the bear, and I forgot to include those, but I think it still turned out cute. For embellishments, I'm using some snowflakes. This is from the special delivery kit, and I cut those out using Queen & Company's glitter foam, and now I'm just using an assortment of Queen & Company bling. They sell a huge variety of blings, so sometimes it's hard just to figure out which type you want to use. Jelly gems are some of my favorites, so I do tend to use those quite often. So there is my finished card, and I just love how this sweet little polar bear turned out. So now moving on to card number 2. I won't be using a card sketch this time, but I will be creating a scene. So I have some snowflake paper, will be the sky. And then I have some glitter paper, used Queen & Company's curvy border dies to cut out the hills. I'm attaching the background piece first, and then I just put a scrap of cardstock on that lower portion, just so when I put this second little hill, it doesn't droop down on the bottom. Then I have 3 different trees, and I used Queen & Company's special delivery kit for these trees. I'm attaching 2 of them in the background. They'll go behind that back hill. So I just put some liquid adhesive and a little bit of ATG on them just to make sure they stay in place. And then for this front tree, this I cut out using some of Queen & Company's glitter paper. I'm just going to tuck that in between the other snowbank or hill. And since there is a little bit of dimension from that glitter paper, I'm just using some thin foam squares just for that upper portion of the tree. And it also adds a little bit of dimension to the scene. So go ahead and adhere my card front onto a card base. And now I'm going to use some of these darling little penguins that are included in the kit. They are designed to be little shakers since they come with the foam and the acetate pieces, but I'm going to make them non-shakers. That's what I love about Queen & Company's kits. You can still continue to make cards even if you run out of all of those foam pieces. You can also buy refills, which that's fun as well. So I use the outline die for the background piece, the white, and then I use some kind of a pearlescent cardstock for the main body of the penguins. I'm going to pop both of those up using some foam dimensional tape. It'll also help adhere those onto this glitter paper. And I wanted them to be holding wings, I guess. They don't have very long wings, so I had to put them pretty snug together, but that's okay. Now I have all of the little pieces to put together their faces. Again, those eyes are super tiny. There's also the little beak. So I'm using my jewel picker tool again, super helpful. I put the adhesive on first and then pick up those tiny pieces. Then once I get all of their little faces glued down, I can start working on their hats. So this is a die that's included in the kit, and I cut out 2 different colors, one for the boy, one for the girl. This is just some of the pattern paper that's included in the kit. I was just trying to figure out placement of the hats. I didn't like how the boy's hat really blends into the background with those trees. And I really could have just flipped it around. I could have had the boy on the right and the girl on the left. I'm not sure why I was so determined to put the girl on the right, but I still went with it. And I'm just putting a little bit of foam dimensional tape on that upper portion of the hat just to keep it all nice and level. And then I cut out this pink sparkly bow for the girl's hat. I used the Love Monster kit for that bow die, and then Queen & Company's pink glitter foam. I've already gone ahead and stamped the sentiment, let's cuddle up together. And then using the special delivery kit for these hearts, I have 2 of them in 2 different shades of pink. I'm just layering them together right in between those penguins. And now I'll just finish off the card adding a couple different types of bling. I have some frosties and some jelly gems. Then after I finished the card, I really decided I didn't like that blue hat, so I cut out another one using that gray tone-on-tone paper and just glued it right on top of the blue hat. I think it turned out much better. So now moving on to card number 3, I'm using one of Queen & Company's sketches. These are designed to coordinate with their foundation dies. So all of those little stitched pieces are one of their foundation dies. So if you own the foundation die set, it makes it really super simple to assemble these cards. I chose to use the tone-on-tone pink chevron paper for the background, and then I also have this colorful polka dot paper for that smaller rectangle piece. I used a mix of pattern paper and then also some solid cardstock for these 3 different size circles. And I'm just putting a little extra scrap of cardstock on part of the circles just to keep them even on the card since they are going over some of these other layers. And I'll do the same thing for this smaller circle. I'll just attach those using some ATG tape. I love the colors in this paper pad. It has lots of pink and then lots of this teal and gray. Just a really pretty blend together. For the sentiment, I cut out one of the stitched banner dies, stamped "Have an Ice Day" on it, and then I'm going to layer it in this same pink cardstock that I have in the background. And the left-hand side of it is not going to show. It's actually going to go underneath the little hat shaker that I'm assembling. So I'm just trying to figure out how much space I have. And the very ends of the banner do end up hanging off just slightly on the right-hand side, but that's okay. It'll still fit in an A2 size envelope just fine. So I'm going to start assembling this little hat, little winter hat. So So I have the background cut out of some snowflake pattern paper. I'm adhering the foam piece on top, and then I'll add a few different toppings. The opening isn't very large, so you won't have to put a lot in there. Both of these toppings are included in the all bundled up kit, and you can also purchase refills if you run out. So seal those all in place with the acetate, add some liquid adhesive, and the hat has 3 different pieces. So it has the main part of the hat, and then it has the brim. So I decided to cut that part out of just that solid cardstock. And then at the very top, the little pom-pom, I used some of Queen & Company's glitter foam. So I'll finish off the card using an assortment of bling. I have some glitter globes, some of the candy shop bubbles, and then also the jelly gems. And then after I placed most of the bling, I felt like the hat needed just something a little bit more. So I decided to place some jelly gems all along the bottom of the hat. Give it a little extra sparkle. It's one of the nice things about the jelly gems. With them being so tiny, you get a ton of them on one sheet of embellishment. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 3. Now here's just a quick recap of the 3 cards I made using Queen & Company's all bundled up kit. This is currently one of my favorite kits from Queen & Company. I love the colors, and all of the images are just darling. The kit was out of stock for several months, but it has been restocked. So if you are interested, I do have links provided in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.